Hello, it's Randi Rhodes. Here's a clip from our show, and go to randyrhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.
Mary had a little lamb. The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream today. Change has come to America.
Okay. Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show. Turn up your mind.
It's Good Friday, you bastard. Hey. Oh, hey. Oh, hey. Happy Good Friday, you bastards. Happy Good Friday. I don't know why you celebrate it, but with eggs and bunny rabbits. But happy Good Friday to you. It's Crucifixion Day, and I guess you're supposed to celebrate. You'll tell me. But yeah, yesterday we dropped the Moab, and we talked about it. We talked about it to, Malcolm Nance, who said he was good with it. I specifically asked him if he was good with it. He said, yes, I'm not good with it. I'm not good. This is the thing. 36 people were killed yesterday. 36. Woohoo. There. That did it. I mean, I don't even get what we're doing anymore. Do you? I mean, last Friday I couldn't sing because we were bombing the crap out of Syria. Syria, for God's sake. Now we're back in Afghanistan after, it's been 16 long ass years, and we're back in Afghanistan. The words Taliban are coming out of people's mouths now. This is the longest running conflict in the United States history. And for the Afghan people, this has become interminable agony. And I'm not sure whether or not dropping this thing. This is a giant bunker buster, basically, is what it is. It goes on the back of a cargo plane. It's a MC-130. 130 is a cargo plane. C means cargo, by the way. So C-141, Starlet, cargo. C-130, cargo. Okay, this is a cargo plane. And they throw it out the back, and then it hits the ground. And I see pictures of people driving by the blast site, taking photographs, going, just drove by. And they're, I'm not sure what we're doing. The president, I got to say, the president is staffing it all out to the military. I find this strange. I think this is plausible deniability. And remember, everybody, when we had this remember the first military action the president took? It was in Yemen. And it didn't go very well. Remember that? And what did the president say? Oh, well, that's what the generals wanted to do. I had nothing to do with it. This is crazy. I thought the buck stopped with the commander in chief, and now it doesn't. And it's the most amazing thing I've ever heard in my life from a president, really. And now we're all sitting here on North Korea watch. Syria last week, Afghanistan yesterday. Now all of a sudden, all eyes are in the sky on North Korea. And NBC reported last night, and then it went away. I actually said this to Howard, I got to see that report again. And they didn't air it again because they said that the president was prepared to launch. And this is why I asked Malcolm Nance, verbatim, can the president, if he declares there's an imminent threat to the United States, does he need to go to Congress to nuke North Korea? And the answer is no. And, I knew the answer. You don't ask questions you don't know the answers to. But, now all of a sudden they're saying that the president just might do that. That he might act. This could be the end of the world. Not as we know it, but the end of the world. We've all seen the excitement Trump gets when he launches Tomahawk missiles. It's like, for him, it's like, crotch grabbing in a geopolitical, environment. It's like grabbing the whole world by the crotch, and he gets very excited. And now I'm sitting here, and I'm hoping to God that, I don't know who he's meeting at Mar-a-Lago, because he won't release any of the visitor logs at the White House or what he calls the Southern White House, Mar-a-Lago. This is where he is. He's here. He's right up the road from me. And he's sitting there, and if he serves chocolate cake to anybody, everybody take cover. Just get under your desk and cover your head. Listen to this. This is the most freaky thing I ever saw. Listen.
Tonight, multiple senior intelligence officials tell NBC News the U.S. military is on high alert as tensions mount between the United States and North Korea over what U.S. officials see as a possible imminent underground nuclear test. Those intelligence officials tell NBC News that the U.S. has positioned 2 destroyers capable of shooting Tomahawk cruise missiles in the region, some 300 miles from the North Korean nuclear test site. U.S. bombers are also positioned in Guam to undertake strikes on the Korean peninsula should it be necessary. Earlier this week, the Pentagon announced the USS Carl Vinson Aircraft Carrier Strike Group is also being diverted to the area. Multiple sources tell NBC News that if U.S. intelligence detects that a nuclear test is imminent, the White House is considering, for the first time in history, a preemptive strike to prevent it. This strike could include missiles and bombs, cyber, and special operations on the ground.
And the whole time this story is running, you can see the chyron if you're watching it on a video. U.S. prepared for preemptive strike on North Korea. I mean, I've never seen, this would be the first time in the history of the universe. And all these stories are saying the U.S. and North Korea indicated. It's not the U.S. and North Korea indicating. It's a face-off between Donald Trump and Kim Jong-un, 2 of the craziest people ever to come down the pike. And that scares me. That freaks me out. I mean, I cannot, there are no words to express, how I just want to make it through Saturday. I just want to make it through tomorrow. Tomorrow is the holiday in North Korea. It's like Founders Day. Okay, Kim Jong-un's father, Kim Jong-il's father, was the founder of North Korea. So Kim Jong-un's grandpa gets celebrated tomorrow. It's a big national holiday in North Korea. And during that holiday, they like to show off their military prowess. And so he usually does something a little, aggressive. He'll test a nuclear bomb. He'll do an underground test. People are speculating whether he'll do something on the ground or in the sea so that we can observe it. This kind of thing. And Donald Trump has said that if this happens, he will preemptively strike North Korea. Honest to God, he's sitting in freaking Palm Beach striking North Korea. This is so off the... It's so... I don't know. We're talking about an extremely unstable personality. And, of course, Kim Jong-un. I am really literally wanting it to be Sunday, not because I'm looking forward to Easter, as much as you probably are, but because I just want it to not be Saturday anymore. I just want it to be done. I want it to be over. I want to get past it. China is issuing stern warnings to the United States. The president is out there going, oh, I love President Xi. We had this really great conversation, and I think he's going to help us in North Korea. And if he doesn't, we'll go it alone. We're sending an armada, he said. An armada.
We're sending an armada. Very powerful. We have submarines. Very powerful. Far more powerful than the aircraft carrier, that I can tell you. And we have the best military people on Earth.
What? Submarines, far more power. And he keeps saying, we'll take care of it. He said it again today. He said, he said, well, what are you going to do on North Korea? He goes, don't you worry. We're going to take care of it. Whenever he says take care of it and serves chocolate cake, like I said, something's getting the crap bombed out of it. Now, let's look at what happened with this Moab yesterday, okay? There is no plausible explanation that has been forthcoming about why General John Nicholson, the Afghan commander, suddenly decided to deploy this previously unused weapon. Now, I went to Google Earth and I started looking around to see, what it looks like there and what's going on there and blah, blah, blah. And something, I got to tell you, this little city that they bombed, this little place that they bombed, people actually live there. That is very close to Tora Bora, where Osama bin Laden was allowed to flee over the border to Pakistan. This little place is very close to the Pakistani border, and these tunnels are used by smugglers. They say that these tunnels are used by ISIS. In the entire country of Afghanistan, in the entire country, we believe there are 600 to 800 ISIS fighters. 600 to 800. Oh my God. Let's just bomb the wild parts of Afghanistan. It makes no sense to me. Anyway, so they I started looking around to see like what's around there, what's near there, blah, 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 and all this stuff. And frankly, it's very close to Tora Bora, where Osama bin Laden was hiding in the caves. Remember, he was hiding in the caves. So I figured these might be the same caves. They are the same caves. Why didn't we use the Moab, when we were trying to rout out, Osama bin Laden? Well, probably because we wanted the boogeyman. And we let him flee, and he did flee Tora Bora, and because we only surrounded it on all 3 sides. If you're a farmer, or if you have dogs even, and you have a fenced yard, and the guy that fenced in your yard said, "There, I'm done. I fenced in all 3 sides." Wouldn't you say, "I'm not paying you"? Wouldn't you say that? What do you mean all 3 sides? There's 4 sides to my yard. Yeah, that's what Bush did. He fenced in all 3 sides, and he let Osama bin Laden run to Pakistan, which eventually, many years later, we found him living there in, squalor, just watching TV, like Trump. Just sitting there watching TV, picking mites out of his beard. I mean, and so this is like the same place, and I can't, it's a remote location. It's just, and there is no explanation. But a pattern is emerging. Donald Trump's giving all these field commanders a lot of discretion. He's let the military off the leash. And what we're seeing now is an increase in civilian casualties. And in that case, the Taliban, by the way, fights ISIS, just so you know. Yesterday, after the Moab, the Taliban expressed sympathy for ISIS. What are we doing?
For a commercial-free, on-demand, whenever, wherever listening experience, visit RandiRhodes.com for your personal premium podcast today.
Well, it's clear that something's very, very wrong with the nation's economy. It's experiencing anemic growth. Our middle class is shrinking. Retirees are facing nationwide pension crises, with many pensions being underfunded and headed toward insolvency. The stock market's super volatile, and many experts say it's way overpriced. The Trump administration is MIA with their amazing economic plan for America. So how are you feeling about your economic security? Call my friends at ITM Trading. Just speak with one of their precious metals experts about gold and find out why now is the perfect time for gold. Learn why gold survives every government, every currency, every economic crisis. Call ITM Trading today at 1-888-OWN-GOLD, and they'll send you a free gold buyer's guide. They've helped tens of thousands of people acquire physical gold and silver, and they can help you too. Call 1-888-OWN-GOLD, 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 1-888-OWN-GOLD.
I'm Rick Smith, and this is Labor History in 2. On this day in labor history, the year was 1975. That was the day union representatives at Bunker Hill Mining Company in Kellogg, Idaho, were notified of a policy change. The lead and zinc producer had decided to exclude fertile women from working in lead-exposed environments. Women workers had to provide a doctor's note stating they were infertile, postmenopausal, or had been sterilized. Otherwise, they would be transferred to safer departments at a substantial loss in pay. 29 women took the transfer, while at least 3 opted for sterilization. During World War II, companies like Bunker Hill promised millions of women workers that they would eliminate hazards through engineering controls. In the 1970s, a new wave of women gained work in several industries that used occupational safety language to implement exclusionary policies like the one at Bunker Hill. These took the form of outright bans on hiring of women, either altogether or in many departments considered too toxic for women of childbearing years. It meant the real loss of well over 100,000 potential industrial jobs for women. Employers could have provided actual protection through better medical coverage and benefits, installation of engineering controls, or protections to include men's reproductive health. Instead, these policies served to roll back economic and civil rights of women workers, regardless of whether they were mothers or ever planned to be. The women appealed to their union, state and federal commissions, and OSHA, but faced an uphill battle. OSHA initially fined Bunker Hill for outstanding violations and its sterilization policy, but dropped the case once Ronald Reagan took office. The women eventually won wage equivalency in their new jobs, but women working in heavy industry would continue to battle such policies for more than a decade. Labor History in 2 brought to you by the Illinois Labor History Society and The Rick Smith Show.
This is the Randi Rhodes Show. To speak with Randi, dial 561-270-3844. That's 561-270-3844.
President Xi wants to do the right thing. We had a very good bonding. I think we had a very good chemistry together.
He bonded.
I think he wants to help us with North Korea. We talk trade, we talk a lot of things, and I said the way you're going to make a good trade deal is to help us with North Korea. Otherwise, we're just going to go it alone. That'll be all right, too.
Holy crap. Okay, well, happy Friday. Yeah, so given free rein, the Air Force seems to be behaving particularly recklessly. It has yet to accept full responsibility for the bombing of an apartment building in Mosul last month that killed 150 people. Of course, you have the coalition airstrikes that blew up 18 allied Syrian fighters after we did the Tomahawk attack, and that was a mistake. And then last week, the cruise missile attacks on the Syrian airbase did absolutely nothing at all that anybody can find that was meaningful or to stop the suffering of Syrian civilians. But, you know, it did label Trump some irrational enforcer or some guy who's in love with the bomb, you know, and now he's doing the same thing on North Korea. He's got this deployment of an armada, a nuclear-armed naval task force, and he's touting the nuclear submarines as even more powerful than the aircraft carriers that launch Tomahawk missiles. But he's saying the submarines, that's where the real power is. Yes, because the submarines have nuclear weapons. I mean, this is just, it's unbelievable. So, you know, we had this missile yesterday, this Moab bomb, a massive ordnance air blast bomb that just pounded into some remote area in Afghanistan. The people around the blast, they said one guy was about a mile and a half away. He lives there, and he said, my ears were deaf for a while. My windows and doors were broken. There are cracks in the walls. He said it started in the morning around 9 a.m. The fighter jets strafed the area. That's according to a local police commander. And we killed 36 people, 36 militants. But, you know, we don't really know who was killed yesterday. There's confusion. No one knows. The people around the area, they communicate on radios, you know, and they say, I don't know, you know, it's very hard to understand. We're intercepting some communication, but it's limited. So they don't know, you know, in this remote area, like how many people, were killed. They say 36. And General John Nicholson, his decision to drop the bomb was made in Afghanistan. It wasn't made in Washington, D.C. We're now finding out that the president may have found out about it after it was launched. And we're still fighting in freaking Afghanistan. I mean, it's unbelievable. This is just craziness. This is, they said there's no doubt that ISIS are brutal and that they've committed atrocities against our people. But I don't see why the bomb was dropped, said the mayor of this town, Achin. He said, it terrorized our people. My relatives thought the end of the world had come. Everyday fighter jets, helicopters, and drones are in the area. He said the United States had a sustained air campaign to eradicate ISIS in eastern Afghanistan for more than a year. And he said ISIS is on the brink of losing their stronghold. It didn't seem like there was a need for such a dramatic military measure. Security reports here say that we had 2 days of regular airstrikes from the 7th to the 9th of April. And those regular airstrikes killed 58 militants. So we dropped this multi-million-dollar thing just because, it's like the next largest bomb we have in our arsenal. We do have one bigger. It's just the way that they reported it. It sounds like, and this is a mistake, it sounds like this is the largest non-nuclear bomb that the U.S. Air Force has. It's not true. There's another one. I think it's a BU-113. I'll look it up for you if you want. But there's one bigger. It's 30,000 pounds. It's the same thing. It's a massive ordnance air blast. These are thermobaric bombs. They bust through tunnels. They bust through the ground. And when they land, the devastation's like a mile in diameter. So, but we had regular airstrikes from the 7th to the 9th, and we killed 58. Now, they say that the Taliban, fights against ISIS. And the Taliban says that they are fixed on a minor splinter group because, unlike the Taliban, the ISIS group wants to destabilize the region. They said that the United States is trying to send a message to countries in the region. Now, that would include North Korea. There is no doubt in my mind. But everybody has said, the international humanitarian lawyers, the Doctors Without Borders, all these people, they said, you're supposed to know what you're hitting. And it's not clear that any such targeting was possible with this. They said making such big news out of a small organization and countering this threat with such a huge measure could indeed make them look more attractive. One of the grounds on which ISIS is building its recruitment drive is to say they are fighting the big enemy, the Americans. The more it can drive them to the battle, the more successful they are in recruiting anti-Western radicals. It was supposed to be another version of shock and awe. And the Taliban, who are rivals of ISIS, condemned the attack. They actually are starting to feel bad for ISIS. Now, the official government in Kabul, Afghanistan, praised this attack, but Afghanistan's former president, Hamid Karzai, denounced it, as did the Afghan envoy to Pakistan, who said it was reprehensible and counterproductive. General John Nicholson visited Nangarhar before the bombing with the Afghan president's national security advisor. The strike was closely coordinated with Afghan soldiers and special forces, and tribal elders had been informed to evacuate civilians. But a resident of the village said he didn't think any civilians were left in the area, but a military police officer from Nangarhar said locals had told him a teacher and his young son had been killed. Hard to know. Hard to know. What the hell are we doing? I mean, I understand he's got tiny hands, this man. And I understand that he's old. And I understand that he likes to watch a lot of television rather than read, or rather than, be briefed, or rather than, understand foreign policy. It's very complicated. He now says he didn't understand North Korea was so complicated till, President Xi lectured him for 10 minutes about the history post-World War II between China, the communist nation of China, and the communist country of North Korea. Didn't understand. So complicated. Healthcare, so complicated. It's so complicated. I don't even know what he's doing on healthcare. I got to tell you, not one piece of legislation, but he is operating in secret on the healthcare, I got to say. He's given up on repealing Obamacare. Now his plan is just to starve it to death. So he's got this new plan. He's sabotaging the existing healthcare system by threatening insurance companies with another payment that they were promised, okay? Remember I told you about the risk corridors and how Rubio quietly killed those payments to the insurance carriers, and so therefore they pulled off of the exchange? Well, he's doing the same thing with these payments that help people cover the out-of-pocket costs that their insurance plans don't cover. And so now he's saying, I'm not going to make those payments, because his new plan to sabotage the existing healthcare system so it can be replaced with a system that doesn't yet exist is not to make these payments. So here's what you have a president saying, okay? And this might be a little more understandable because foreign policy is complicated for a lot of people to understand. But you would think after 16 years, we kind of got our brains wrapped around it. I would like to think we do. But Trump is saying today that he's going to destroy Obamacare unless we start negotiating ways to destroy Obamacare. Right. Yeah. On what level does that make sense? And so he's saying to North Korea the same thing. We're going to preemptively bomb you if you test a nuclear weapon. And the North Koreans said, we will mercilessly attack if you do. I mean, it's the same thing. It's like, we're going to destroy North Korea so that North Korea, stops destroying itself. I don't even understand. The people there haven't eaten in 50 years. So he's saying he's going to destroy Obamacare unless we start negotiating ways to destroy Obamacare. I will destroy Obamacare unless you help me destroy Obamacare. See, for a guy who constantly makes threats, he's not very good at it. And he just likes to blow things up now, we know. I don't understand. I really don't understand. And the supporters of this man, no matter how hard he lied to them, no matter what he has said to them, no matter what he promised to do, labeled China currency manipulator on day one. Now he says he bonded with Xi. No matter what he said to them, they don't care.
I'm going to instruct my Treasury Secretary to label China a currency manipulator, the greatest in the world. To label China a currency manipulator, which should have been done years ago.
That was Trump as a presidential candidate in 2016. But so far, he hasn't labeled China as a currency manipulator.
Why is my computer so low? I don't either. Something's going on your board. No, it's not my computer. Rick in Los Angeles.
Hey, Randy.
Hey.
This is a really scary time.
I just want it to be Sunday. I've never waited for Easter with such anticipation, not even when I was a little girl, as much as I'm waiting for Sunday and for this day to pass.
Yeah, so tomorrow is the former dear leader's birthday then, right?
No, it's his grandpa's founding day.
Okay.
North Korea was founded on the day tomorrow by Kim Jong-un's grandpa.
Okay.
So that's what they celebrate.
Yeah.
It's like Independence Day, except they decided to go commie, full throttle.
Yeah. I mean, Trump was obviously sleeping during history courses in high school and college.
That's because he went to a prep school where he got kicked out for bad behavior, and then his parents sent him to a military-themed prep school where he apparently learned all his military prowess.
I mean, who the hell's not familiar with the events of the Korean War? We damn near lost the entire peninsula. After we tried to cross the Yalu River or got too close to it, the Chinese came in and almost drove the troops out entirely.
Well, that's exactly, that was the UN. The Chinese drove the UN forces out of Korea at the 38th parallel, which is where we started. They started at the 38th parallel. They ended at the 38th parallel. Nothing was accomplished in that war either. But that should be a war that Donald Trump, he goes, when he was little, he doesn't remember anybody ever losing a war. Well, we lost Vietnam. We lost this one in Korea. I mean, I don't know what he remembers. I don't know what he knows.
If he preemptively attacks North Korea, he's basically asking for a northern invasion of South Korea. Or, or dropping nuclear bombs on Seoul. It's only 60 miles away from the border.
But, one of the things that Malcolm was saying yesterday was that the only way, if you were going to take on North Korea, the only way to defeat them would be to nuke them. Because they also have been like little ants digging under the ground. This is a pretty standard thing. And they said, he said that everything that they have is underground. All the tunnels they have are underground. And we would have to nuke the crap out of them if we were going to really take them on. Other than that, conventional weapons. This is why I believe they chose this massive ordnance that is a giant bunker buster on steroids, because they're trying to show Kim Jong-un we can get underground. Because nothing was accomplished in Afghanistan yesterday, nothing at all, and nothing was accomplished in Syria, nothing at all. And then after, that we did this nothing attack on this stupid airbase where we failed to even take out the runways, and they were free to launch attacks on the same people. 5 minutes later, we went in and we did a conventional strike, and we killed friendly forces. I mean, the idea that we are staffing this out to the military is so sickening to me.
Oh, I mean, whatever happened to the commander-in-chief is supposed to be a civilian, Randy. Apparently, he's delegated that responsibility to the military.
He sure has. He sure has.
Talk about a cacostrophe or whatever that word is, right?
Kleptocracy.
Yeah. it's totally crazy. I mean, this is not the America that that you and I are familiar with. I mean,
that's why I said it's the end of the world, but not as we know it, because this is not America. America doesn't do this. And he promised his people, okay? He said, America first, no more of these foreign interventions. And so far, he's intervened in Syria, he's intervened in the Middle East, in Asia, okay? And now, now in the Korean Peninsula. What?
And to talk about an armada sailing towards North Korea, it sounds like frickin' D-Day, the D-Day invasion.
With the submarines,
totally
he's touting the nuclear submarines. That's what he stressed in that. That's why I played that particular clip. I mean, there's lots of stuff of him saying, we'll go it alone, and whatever it is. But honestly, man, he's talking about the submarines to Maria Bartiromo.
I mean, I'm not sure who's crazier, Kim Jong-un or Trump.
That's what I'm telling you.
I'd say it's a toss-up.
It is.
It's scary. Well, anyway, Randy, keep on the great work, and I'm not too far from beer o'clock for you here.
Oh, my God. I have to stay this way. As soon as I pound him down, I'm going to stay that way until, Sunday comes.
Well, as Hunter S. Thompson's attorney advised him one time, my advice is to start drinking and continue to do so for the next 24 hours.
Yes, exactly.
All right, you take care.
Thank you. No, here's what's crazy. The day that the New York Times came out with the article that said that there was a lot of information about CIA Director Brennan briefing Mitch McConnell, the Gang of Eight. Mitch McConnell knows all this Russia stuff. Okay, that Brennan had received signal intelligence, and that the signal intelligence from foreign governments through routine surveillance had been catching all the people around Trump on the campaign trail talking to Russian spies over and over again. There was this pattern. And so Brennan went and started briefing Congress. Now, when that New York Times story broke, and we found out that back in, I guess it was August and September, that Brennan started to brief Mitch McConnell and the House Intelligence Committee members, right, about this. When that story was in the paper, that's when we attacked Syria. Yesterday, we had an article in The Guardian that I said, if you only read one thing, read this. And if you have raging ADD, skip to the last paragraph, where the conclusion is that there was collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. And then we attack Afghanistan with this massive freaking bomb. And it looks to me like there's this big rumor going around now that says that arrests in the Comey investigation are likely to come as early as next week. And there's also a rumor out there, and these are rumors, that Rudy Giuliani wants to flip on Donald Trump, and he's in trouble for representing some Iranian-connected Turkish banker. We told you this story, and he knows he's up to his eyeballs in legal trouble, and he wants to make a deal with Comey, but Comey isn't interested in making a deal with Giuliani because he doesn't need Giuliani. And Giuliani was the one who first went into the NYPD to get Anthony Weiner's computer into the FBI, New York Bureau's hands, and then up to Comey. Remember all this? And that Comey would never make a deal with Rudy Giuliani. And this is all waiting for next week. So isn't it interesting? Isn't it interesting that this weekend we're threatening some sort of a preemptive strike on North Korea? Don't you think this is coincidental? If any of these things have any, there are no words, right? No words. All right, 42 after.
The Randi Rhodes Air Force. The Randi Rhodes Show is live on RandiRhodes.com and the free Progressive Voices app for Android and iOS. Visit the App Store or ProgressiveVoices.com now.
You're listening to WIN, Workers Independent News, a diversified media enterprises production. I'm Doug Cunningham. Writers Guild of America workers are taking a strike authorization vote April 19th through the 24th. Writers Guild boards on both coasts are also urging members of the union to vote yes on strike authorization against the Alliance of Motion Picture and TV Producers. Zoanne Clack is on the Writers Guild of America West board.
We need to leverage the power that we have at the negotiating table so that we are able to get a fair deal when we go back.
The Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers earned a record profit of $51 billion in the past year alone, but the union says the economic position of writers has declined sharply. The union is asking for 3% increases in minimums for writers, increases in health and pension plan payments from employers, and an increase in diversity and other gains. The employer said no to nearly all of it. Writers Guild West member Glenn Mazzara.
We're just trying to get a little bigger piece of a very, very big pie. That's all.
Writers Guild West member Carlton Eastlake says a strike authorization vote is necessary to consolidate the union's power to make gains in the labor talks.
The fundamental strength of any organization is its unity of purpose and its backing of, in this case, its negotiators, so that they can rapidly and cleanly and clearly achieve the organization's goal.
What has the Republican Congress and White House done for or to workers in their first 100 days? House Speaker Paul Ryan proclaimed they would help the unemployed, the sick, and educate the young. The AFL-CIO says they worked to deprive 24 million Americans of health care, supported a budget plan that cut back on worker health and safety, cut Meals on Wheels, and cut education funding for kids with disabilities. Republicans in Washington also put a champion of corporate America on the Supreme Court. They failed to move on a $1 trillion investment in infrastructure to create jobs. The House and Senate voted more than a dozen times each to wipe out regulations protecting workers from hazards on the job. Now the AFL-CIO says Republicans are working on a tax plan to further cut taxes for corporations and the rich while, quote, starving programs that support needy families. End quote. With time running out, United Mine Workers of America President Cecil Roberts is still fighting for Congress to pass the Miners Protection Act by the end of April. It keeps a promise to save pensions and health care for tens of thousands of retired miners and their dependents.
The longer Congress waits, the less money there is to fix this problem, and it's a shorter time frame to try to fund the 1974 pension plan.
WIN is made possible in part by the OPEIU, the Office of Professional Employees International Union. You've been listening to WIN, Workers' Independent News. For more information, visit laborradio.org.
I am super sexually satisfied. I'm genuinely 100% more satisfied with my sex life than I was before Randi Rhodes came back on the air. Hi, I'm the Howard, and yes, it's true. I'm actually 100% more sexually satisfied than I was just one day ago. And I didn't grow a mustache. I didn't get an awesome new tattoo, and I didn't join a CrossFit gym either. I just bought a Randi Rhodes Air Force t-shirt. And when I did, I told Randi, well, there, I've done my part. How do I look at my awesome new Randi Rhodes Air Force 100% super soft cotton tee? And Randi said, that's it? That's all you did to support this unfreaking, unbelievably hard effort? Okay, Howard, go fuck yourself. So I did. And I have to tell you, I still got it. Get your super soft Randi Rhodes t-shirt at randirhodes.com. Just click on podcasts and swag and order yours today. You'll feel a lot better after you tell Randi.
The Randi Rhodes Show is brought to you by our partners at ITM Trading. Call them at 1-888-OWN-GOLD and ask for a free gold kit. 1-888-OWN-GOLD.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844. 561-270-3844.
It's one of the reasons we at SAFE find the celebration of entities like WikiLeaks to be both perplexing and deeply troubling. Because while we do our best to quietly collect information on those who pose very real threats to our country, individuals such as Julian Assange and Edward Snowden seek to use that information to make a name for themselves. As long as they make a splash, they care nothing about the lives they put at risk or the damage they cause to national security. WikiLeaks walks like a hostile intelligence service and talks like a hostile intelligence service, and has encouraged its followers to find jobs at the CIA in order to obtain intelligence. It directed Chelsea Manning in her theft of specific secret information. And it overwhelmingly focuses on the United States while seeking support from anti-democratic countries and organizations.
There's your CIA director, Mike Pompeo from Kansas, who used to tweet out stuff from WikiLeaks. Now, this was his first speech as director of the CIA. He used to applaud all these disclosures by WikiLeaks, and now all of a sudden he's attacking them as a hostile intelligence service. Whoops. Whoops, because, you know, the president that you are supposed to be serving loves the WikiLeaks so freaking much.
Now, this just came out. This just came out. WikiLeaks. I love WikiLeaks.
Uh-oh. Whoops.
And I said, write a couple of them down. By the way, did you see another one? Another one came in today. This WikiLeaks is like a treasure trove. And by the way, WikiLeaks just came out with lots of really unbelievable things just minutes ago. In fact, I almost delayed this speech by about 2 hours. It's so interesting.
I also, Jim, just saw a report that Pompeo himself on his congressional Twitter account last year, or at least a year ago, was quoting from a WikiLeaks document.
Yeah. How do you explain that? Now, are you saying that our CIA director aided and abetted a hostile intelligence organization? Or are you saying that the president of the United States was touting and saying he loved a hostile intelligence organization? Either way, whoops. Now, all this stuff is going to come out, it's getting buried, like this is like the fourth or fifth lead story, this Mike Pompeo trashing WikiLeaks, that they're, and calling Julian Assange a narcissist and a fraud, which means that the president is also a narcissist and a fraud because the two of them loved each other. He said in Kansas, this is what Pompeo said. He said, in Kansas, we know something about false wizards. But, he loved WikiLeaks. The CIA director adored it. And the president of the United States adored it. Now, all these stories about collusion is being, that they have proof of collusion between the Trump campaign and Russia. And that next week is going to be like this really shocking week. The idea that when these stories come out, what happens is we attack something. What happens is we drop bombs somewhere in the world. We don't really cause all that much damage because we're not really looking to cause that much damage. It's interesting. I remember talking to Karen in Whittier, California. Her husband's in the Air Force. And we were talking to each other and she said, Randy, we don't miss. And I said, no, we don't. We don't miss. So when we hit an airport and don't damage the runways, there's a reason that we didn't. When we drop, drop a massive ordnance in some, remote region of Afghanistan and cause only damage to our reputation, there's a reason that we did that. And that was to speak to North Korea, to tell North Korea we could get beneath your streets, we can bust your tunnels. And then he positions an armada and talks about our nuclear submarines and its awesome power, much more powerful, I can tell you, he said, than the Carl Vinson group, which can launch Tomahawks but nothing nuclear. This is sick, and it's probably because more information is coming next week on this Russia investigation. So be really, really forewarned here. Rich in Detroit.
Randy, my queen.
Yes, sir.
Let me explain Good Friday to you very quickly. Today we remember and mourn the execution of Jesus by crucifixion by the Romans. On Sunday, we celebrate Jesus' returning to life, which can only be properly celebrated, as I'm sure you'll agree, with hard-boiled eggs and marshmallow bunnies.
Yes.
So hopefully that clears the whole Easter thing up for you. Listen, you've been saying, you're not going to be relieved until Sunday. I think you need to worry a little bit sooner than that. As you know, Korea is not in the Eastern time zone.
Yes.
My daughter was there for a few months. I believe they're 13 hours ahead of us.
Yeah.
So at the top of the hour, I could check my world clock, but it's going to be like 6 o'clock in the morning Saturday because they're on the other side of the international date line. So it's already Saturday in Korea. So the time to start worrying and watching would be, right now.
Start drinking now, then. Okay.
Hey, thank you. I'll do that.
It used to be one beer and a couple of rum and cokes. Now it's going to be a 6-pack and a bottle.
And still not enough to forget.
Holy crap, man. Just listen, happy Easter. I hope you celebrate it with people that you care for. But honest to God, I can't wait for this thing to pass. I can't wait to get through to Monday. I really can't.
I'll see you Monday, Randy.
All right. Thank you, Rich. Brother David.
Sister, it's our possible last Good Friday end of Passover as we know it. So, of course, I'm calling because in your Easter bonnet with hazmat veil upon it, you'll be most insulated in the Fallout Parade. We really are, as you've already noted, at that place where now is all we have. So now I am saying I love you always. I always have, I always will. We all do. We are all in this together as never before. And all I've been able to think of since last night is that Twilight Zone episode with Billy Mooney as Anthony, who sends people to the cornfield. But I haven't decided whether the comb-over
That's one of the scariest ones.
Oh, absolutely.
That's a horrible, horrible one.
Or if it's you're a bad, bad man who ends up with the Jack in the Box clown head.
Don't say it, because that,
No, but
there's
yes,
two.
exactly. But
There's
that's
two
how it
of them.
feels.
There's two of them that really, really bother me. That's one of them, and the other one is Talking Tina.
Talking Tina is the worst.
Ugh.
Anyway, but that's how it's felt. It's like this. We know we have power as human beings, and yet this is just rolling out of control, and it's all a smoke screen. It's all a stunt.
You know what?
The Oberman said it.
You know what? Tomorrow there are a lot of tax marches. All you got to do is Google tax march and show up, and at least you'll be with friendlies. At least we could be in a group together. I mean,
I think I'm going to Kansas City to do that. And you nailed it on the ACA and his non-plans. And I say without getting, all my marketplace colleagues are like quietly.
Oh yes, so
what
yes,
next?
so
What next?
so let me ask you, what is the feeling with the insurance carriers? What is the feeling out there about
heads on
how
fire.
many providers there might be in 2018 if he starves them out like this?
Hair on fire. Hair on fire.
It is.
Yeah, it's even the ones that are calm and professional. You just know there's that edge all the time. Quick shout out to the chat room.
Hi, chat
room. Tell 10 people to the whole smear and buy a stinking podcast because it might be their last chance. We just don't know.
Yes, this could be your last chance to buy a stinking podcast. It could be. And then if the internets go down, right? Then at least you'll have and you'll know what happened to you because you can start listening to them from the beginning and you'll follow that I called it, that I knew this, right?
Since last June.
Yeah.
Of course you did, sister. You always do.
It's not even about being right. It's just about explaining to people what has happened to us.
What is upon us? At best, if it rolls the way it's rolling, we are looking at a combination of Brave New World and Cormac McCarthy's The Road. At worst, we'll meet again. Don't know where. Don't know when. Yeehaw! And I still think we have that. Love you always. Happy Easter, darling. To you and all of them.
Thanks,
Mwah.
you too. Bye. Kenny in Westchester.
Hey, Randy, how you doing?
Good. How you doing?
Oh, well, hanging in there.
Good.
Listen, I want to ask you a question really quick, and I want to make a comment. All right, if Trump gives the commands or whatever, to launch the bombs or whatever the hell, can the generals, since he gave the generals the authority to call the shots, supposedly, can they turn around and say you're freaking out of your mind? Yeah, can they say no?
Well, here's the thing. If you are instructed to turn the key and you don't want to turn the key, then the person who is serving with you can shoot you and kill you, and he can turn the key.
Okay.
Did you know that? Yes.
I've heard that before, but
it's true. I know it's true. If you disobey an order from the president to launch, because we've thought about this, we've thought about people that don't want to, turn the key, and so there's a guy with a gun, and if you won't turn the key, then he will shoot you, and he will turn the key.
Okay. All right, I understand.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Phil, we've thought about how many ways, people could get out of killing other people, and we've seen it through. Phil in Colton, Oregon.
Yeah. Another Twilight Zone movie they're walking this, I think it's Civil War, out on a bridge, put a plank out, and they're going to hang him. In the middle of the hanging, a rope breaks. He falls into the river, swims away, he gets away, and it keeps going over in his mind and mind. And that was it. It never happened. It was just his split seconds of dying. But anyway, then the NRA, they're kind of hurting right now. They've got a couple wins. They got be able to sell guns to mentally ill, and they've got to be able to shoot bears and hibernating bears in Alaska. But no one's buying guns.
That's because the only thing that makes people buy guns is talking about regulating gun ownership, and there's nobody talking about gun ownership.
There's no fear anymore,
right? And so nobody.
The president's gone.
No, as soon as you talk about, hey, we want to do background checks, or hey, we want to make sure that the mentally ill don't get gun. But what did Trump do? Trump said mental illness is not a barrier to gun ownership, so everybody can now have a gun, right? And so there's no reason to run out and buy a gun. So he actually depressed sales of guns by saying mentally ill people can have guns. This is a crazy country.
Gun stores are closing, and gun makers are having to let people off because they don't have orders.
Okay, whatever. He said. Don in Chicago?
It's awesome. Hey, Randy.
Hi.
Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Awesome. Look, I love, respect, and admire the hell out of you. And I just bought a year's worth of stinking podcast.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. But I'm wondering if you can bring this full circle for me, because I'm down with your theory. Started to change the subject about Trump being Putin's boy and
puppet.
Business dealings.
He's his puppet.
And yes, and he as far as Putin's concerned, Trump and his administration botched the relationship. Now everybody knows that they're pals and they're in bed together. And so here's what we're going to do. We're going to be mortal enemies, so you can go ahead and bomb some Syria if you want to, and I'm going to turn the other way because I'm not wed to Assad, essentially, and as long as you take the sanctions off and let me keep Crimea. Now, if they're enemies, how does it make it easier for Trump to relax the sanctions and let them keep Crimea?
Because first you have to create drama, and then you say you solved it, and then you're a hero by taking the sanctions off.
How would they solve the drama, though, between them two?
Well, because what he does is he creates the drama in the first place, and then he says, "Look, this has gone on too long. We need to negotiate, and here's what we're going to do."
Okay.
And he solves the problem. He solves the problem.
Time is going to go by.
No, he solves the problem that he created, which is Russia's now evil, right?
Right.
And then he says, well, I still want to get along with Russia, so here's what we're going to do. I negotiated a peace. And that's the end of it.
The Randi Rhodes Show is live on RandiRhodes.com and the free Progressive Voices app for Android and iOS. Visit the App Store or ProgressiveVoices.com now.
Now, the top of the hour on the Progressive Voices channel on TuneIn presents the Green News Report.
All of Florida is still under a state of emergency right now, and at this hour, some 100 fires are still burning.
State of Florida battles unprecedented early wildfire season. Court upholds California's cap-and-trade emissions trading system. Trump's Bureau of Land Management to prioritize fossil fuel extraction. Now's your chance to weigh in on EPA regulations.
I'm in favor of them.
Plus, iceberg, run ahead! An iceberg armada is invading the Arctic.
Oh, come on, icebergs. Don't give Trump any ideas. All of those stories and more straight ahead from BradBlog.com. I'm Brad Friedman.
And I'm Desi Doyen.
Stand by for 6 minutes of independent green news, politics, analysis, and snarky comment.
Even corporations, yes, corporations, are speaking out against Trump's climate policy. Levi's, Staples, the Gap, Exxon, M&M's said it's gotten so bad our product melts in your hand.
That is bad. This is your Green News Report. Okay, Desi Doyen, the California drought is apparently over, but it looks like it's just moved over to Florida.
Yeah, Florida Governor Rick Scott on Tuesday declared a state of emergency across the entire state to free up state and federal resources to fight an outbreak of destructive wildfires. More than 100 active wildfires are now burning across Florida and have scorched nearly 70,000 acres over just the last month. The wildfires have forced evacuations and road closures and have already burned 250 50% more acreage during just the first 3 months of this year than during the same period last year. And it's expected to get worse as drought conditions and lightning frequency increases in the state during the coming warm months.
That's okay. Florida will soon be underwater and all the fires will be out.
But good news in California, a state appeals court has upheld California's statewide cap and trade system for reducing greenhouse gas emissions. The court rejected arguments from the fossil fuel industry and the U.S. Chamber of Commerce that the market-based system was an illegal tax. The court instead upheld the state's authority to operate the voluntary market-based system that reduces emissions by allowing polluters to buy and trade pollution allowances.
It's a voluntary system?
Yes.
And yet the fossil fuel industry and the Chamber of Commerce were fighting this voluntary system?
Yes, they were.
Amazing.
The Trump administration Bureau of Land Management will shift its focus to accelerating fossil fuel development on public lands. That's according to a leaked internal memo, which orders agency employees to prioritize and streamline leasing and permitting for coal, mining, and oil and gas projects, and Trump's proposed wall on the Mexican border.
Why don't they just change the name from Bureau of Land Management to Bureau of Land Sales?
They might just do that because the BLM right now is wasting no time in reflecting that focus on extraction. The main photo on the BLM's website was changed from a family hiking on their beautiful public lands to a photo of a massive wall of coal being mined. The photo was changed after public outcry, but interestingly, that photo of the coal mine was a mine owned by Peabody Energy, which just came out of bankruptcy proceedings, sticking taxpayers with most of their toxic mine cleanup bill.
Sounds like the Trump administration is picking winners and losers here when it comes to coal.
Well, now you have a chance, though, to weigh in on which EPA regulations you'd like to have survive the Trump administration. The EPA has opened up a public comment period where you can weigh in on Trump's executive orders requiring federal agencies to identify which regulations will be repealed, replaced, or modified. You can make your voice heard. The deadline is May 15th. We have all the info at our website, greennews.bradblog.com.
Or you can just go to epa.gov and find your way there.
In the Arctic, global warming is creating new and unusual problems because of a record loss of sea ice, changes in ocean currents, and disruption of wind and weather patterns. The Arctic is now seeing an armada of icebergs, an iceberg swarm, threatening shipping lanes, literally. Where on average there would be about 80 icebergs this time of year, there are now 450. Something that U.S. Coast Guard Arctic commanders say they've never seen anything like it.
Why are there so many icebergs? Because the oceans are warmer and these ice chunks are melting and breaking away?
Pretty much, yes.
Also amazing.
Finally, a sign of the times. A museum in Kentucky that documents the history of the coal industry is installing solar panels on its roof to save money, $8,000 to $10,000 a year. The irony of a coal museum turning to clean and cheap solar for energy was not lost on climate hawks who say that's the only place coal belongs, in the ground or in a museum.
And from what I understand, the folks in this tiny, almost gone coal town in Kentucky are not upset at all about saving $8,000 or $10,000 a year. And all of a sudden, they're fascinated by this whole solar thing.
Imagine that.
Indeed. For much more on all of these stories and the ones we couldn't get to, check out our website before it burns down or gets hit by an iceberg at greennews.bradblog.com. Find us, follow us, and share us on the Facebooks and the Twitters at Green News Report. I'm Brad Friedman.
And I'm Desi Doyen.
And this has been your Green News Report.
Just stop your crying, it's a sign of the times.
This has been the Green News Report on the top of the hour on the Progressive Voices channel on TuneIn.
Mary had a little man. The fault. We believe that all men are created equal.
To the magnificent mosaic that is America.
From radio beacon to radio beacon.
I have a dream today.
Change has come to America.
Believe me. Knock, knock. Who's there?
It's a figment of your imagination.
Randi Rhodes Show.
Turn up your mind.
Wouldn't it be nice if we actually got along with people? Wouldn't it be nice if we actually got along, as an example, with Russia? I'm all for it. Right now, we're not getting along with Russia at all. We may be at an all-time low.
NATO is obsolete. It's costing us too much money. It's too much, and frankly, it's a different world. I said it was obsolete. It's no longer obsolete.
We can't continue to allow China to rape our country.
We had a very good bonding. I think we had a very good chemistry together. President Xi wants to do the right thing. So I've watched Assad, and I've watched a little bit on the other side. The problem is the other side of Assad, we have no idea who they are. They probably are ISIS. I'm saying, are we better off with Assad? We have no idea who these people are. What are we doing? Why are we involved? It shouldn't be allowed. Why are we involved? That's a butcher. That's a butcher. So I felt we had to do something about it.
He's such a liar. Oh, and last night, they're trying to make excuses for him. They are. And so they're saying things like, he's evolved. I thought you didn't believe in evolution. He's evolved. No, he's covering up is what he's doing. We are getting closer and closer in this Russia investigation to him and to his aides and to the people currently serving than anybody could have hoped would happen so quickly. And every time a big news article comes out that substantiates, corroborates that the Trump campaign was colluding with Russia, with armies of trolls and WikiLeaks, which now our own CIA director, his own CIA director, is saying is a hostile intelligence service that Trump just loved WikiLeaks. He loved them. He almost delayed his appearance there that night because he wanted to sit and read it for an hour and a half, as if this man has ever read anything for an hour and a half. Anything. So every time we get closer, every time there's a new announcement, every time there's a new newspaper article, every time that article yesterday by The Guardian, the article prior to that in the New York Times, every time we bomb something. And this weekend is no different. Now, I can't tell you what's going to happen next week. I could just tell you what the big rumor mill is churning out, what the people I talk to are saying. And of course, what the people I'm talking to are saying are things like Giuliani wants to flip. He needs to make a deal. Comey isn't interested. The other thing that people are saying, they noticed Manafort retroactively registered as a foreign agent. They think he's flipped and he's going to cooperate because of the black ledger that was discovered in Ukraine. Viktor Yanukovych's house, the black ledger in the safe, had Manafort's name handwritten with certain amounts next to Manafort's name. And people have been trying to connect those numbers with payments to Manafort for some time now. And they were successful in doing so last week. They matched about $1.5 million of payments that were the exact amounts written in the ledger to Paul Manafort's company. That's happened. The rumor mill is churning out some sort of a thought that big arrests could come next week in the Trump-Russia matter, let's just call it, okay? And Carter Page, we learned, had a FISA warrant on him and had it renewed, and that means that he's been wiretapped, for... or incidentally collected upon. No, he's been wiretapped. There's a FISA warrant on him. He's been collected upon for at least 6 months because a FISA warrant runs 90 days and then they go back to the court and they say, it's still running, ran out, but here's what we're finding. We make a case of probable cause to continue and they say, okay. So we know he's been tapped for 6 months. He's on TV lying all this week. It just doesn't look very good. It just doesn't look good. The way that I hear it is that Jeff Sessions was the person who brought in Carter Page in the first place. Remember, they had that foreign policy shop that Sessions set up for Trump in Northern Virginia, and then they stiffed everybody, never paid anybody in that policy shop, and, closed it. But it wasn't, until that they had brought in Carter Page, who was circling around that foreign policy shop, trying to get into that foreign policy shop because he was a Russian agent. I mean, this is a very sick, twisted story. And it seems to me that we might have Comey was at the museum this week. I don't know if you saw my boyfriend, but he looks really good. He was at the museum, and they were asking him questions about, the Russians and, the methods that they use to, to push out fake news. By the way, Assad is doing it too. Assad is saying exactly what Alex Jones said. It's so funny that, in the right-wing media world, the right-wing media parrots everything that Vladimir Putin would want said. So interesting. And so you end up with Assad sounding exactly like Alex Jones. You know, Alex Jones said the kids in Sandy Hook were it was a false flag. They were child actors. Remember that? Well, Assad is saying the same thing about the dead children who were gassed in Idlib. He's saying they were child actors. It isn't real. I'll play you that, but it's a long clip. It's really, he's sickening. He is a sickening human being. And his wife, I'm always interested in, like, who would marry such a pig? And of course, his wife, she's like a fresh flower, who lives, with him. And she's got an Instagram account. Oh my God. She looks like she's living in an alternative universe. This woman has no clue that her husband is a butcher, that he's a killer. She has no idea. Anyway, Comey was trying to warn us and said Americans should be aware of these troll, what did he call them? Troll armies? He said we should be aware of foreign efforts to undermine confidence in U.S. elections and mindful of the possibility that what they're reading might be part of an organized disinformation campaign. U.S. adversaries, including Russia last year, have, quote, used all kinds of vectors to try and influence and undermine our own faith in our democratic processes and have relied increasingly on sophisticated tactics. Look, here's what he said.
It's a very hard problem, given the ability of adversaries, and we saw last year Russia, to use all kinds of vectors to try and influence and undermine our own faith in our democratic processes. It's something we take extraordinarily seriously. But at the center of our efforts is figuring out what's going on and then sharing that to inoculate the American people before an election.
What else do you think has to be done? Other countries are quite used to real, alleged foreign interference in their domestic politics. This is a relatively new thing for Americans to think about. What else do you think has to be done to, as you say, inoculate ourselves?
Well, it's something that the Russians in particular have long tried to do, going back to the Soviet era. Their tools to try and accomplish this undermining effort are far more powerful today because of social media in particular. So the most important thing to be done is people need to be aware of the possibility that what they're reading has been shaped by troll farms looking to push message on Twitter to undermine our confidence. Again, transparency and inoculation are the most important thing to do.
Transparency and inoculation. You must be aware that when you are reading Breitbart, you are reading the Mercer family's preferred take on global, on Russia. When you are listening to Steve Bannon, or when you were listening to Steve Bannon on Sirius XM, you were listening to Russia's preferred foreign policy. When you are listening to Alex Jones say that, everything's a false flag, and you are listening to Russia's foreign policy being perpetuated all over America. These people are literally in league with Russian foreign policy, not American foreign policy. These are the most dishonest, heinous people among us. And, people are fascinated by them because they say outrageous, heinous, ugly things like Assad. I mean, the idea that those kids weren't really dying right there on the TV, that, when we saw the doctors rushing in and we saw the white helmets, and some of the emergency workers who went to rescue those kids, they passed out too from the sarin gas. But everybody leaves that out. They passed out too. They went down. They needed to be treated with atropine, which is the antidote to sarin gas. And Assad has actually given this interview saying that the kids it was all fake. It was all phony.
It's not clear whether it happened or not, because how can you verify a video?
How can you verify a video?
Now, and you have the proof that those videos were fake, like the white helmets, for example. They are Al-Qaeda, they are Nusra Front, who shaved their beard, wore white hats, and appeared as humanitarian heroes.
Now that's exactly what I know. The something wrong with the with my audio, but honest to God, man, this idea that the white helmets are Al Qaeda and that the attack on the kids was fake. That's exactly what comes out of right-wing media. That's exactly what Alex Jones says. It's exactly what InfoWars says. It's exactly what Breitbart says. It's exactly what Steve Bannon says. It's exactly what right-wing lunatics say. This is obviously all being planted into the United States crazy media by Russia. This is Russians' foreign policy. I mean, these people are traitors to this country. It's unbelievable. So, somebody says, "Oh, well, how do we get the sanctions off Russia?" Well, obviously, the investigations have concluded in at least some people inside the investigations who are leaking to the press have concluded that there was collusion between Trump and Russia during the campaign, and that, don't forget, that our voter registration rolls were hacked. And then the analytics companies that were working with the Trump campaign had that information and were able to, with precision accuracy, pinpoint swing voters or likely Hillary Clinton voters with negative information about Hillary Clinton in their news feeds, okay, in their actual news feeds, because they had this information. And we're getting really close to, finding out, who, what, when, where, why, and how, and who's going down for it. And the closer we get, the more drama Trump creates between himself and Russia. It's like the Housewives of Beverly Hills. When the show gets boring, you need, Lisa Rinna to attack Dorit. They don't really mean it, but they attack each other's husbands, which seems to be the sore point, right? And then they make up on the reunion. See, this is just reality TV, and you have a reality TV star as the president. Now, the only thing that plays better than the Housewives of Beverly Hills drama is war. So every time they get close to the real drama, the underlying drama between Trump and Russia, they blow something up.
To speak to Randi, call now, you bastards. 561-270-3844.
Hello.
The Randi Rhodes Air Force.
Oh, I love herky jerky. Big protein, big flavor, big packs, little carbs. And that's why my favorite snack is jerky, but not just any jerky. Oh, no. It's herky jerky, the official snack of the Randi Rhodes Air Force. And it comes in elk and buffalo and beef and bacon and venison. And oh, my God, the bacon. It also comes in hot, mild, or 14 other incredible flavors. And for the month of April, all Randi listeners will get a surprise sample pack. But for those of you who don't like surprises, it's going to be turkey bacon. It's going to be so good. No promo code is needed. Just go ahead and order 2 packs of anything and you'll get a free sample pack of turkey bacon. It's so good. Beef, elk, venison, bacon sticks. Most amazing things. They bite just perfectly. And the bacon is a slab. You put it on your BLTs. You just munch it right out of the bag. Put it in a salad. You're going to love this. Go to herkyjerky.com and get yourself some jerky and get a surprise. It's going to be turkey bacon. And take them with you everywhere you go.
This is Tara Devlin from RepublicanDirtyTricks.com on the Progressive Voices channel on TuneIn. And here's an excerpt from my show, the It Sucks to Be Right Tara Buster.
Who the hell elected Jared Kushner? Who elected Ivanka? Nobody. He's really building a similar system as the one the founders fought a revolution to escape, right? FDR called them economic royalists. That's what they are. All these new titles he's bestowing on his son-in-law, just like a monarch would do. That's not democracy. It's not America. And why is the media going along with it? A media that says the beautiful friggin' bombs flying through the air. What is the difference between what Brian Williams said about I am awed by the beauty of our weapons or whatever, and the state-run media in North Korea? If we had a true media, what they would talk about is everything we're talking about. They'd say This is a president with a 35% approval rating. This looks very suspicious. So they just wiped their asses with $60 million. That's like 16 Meals on Wheels programs or whatever it is. Right? This is the beautiful babies. What about the seniors that are worried about their meals and the beautiful babies getting kicked off health care? That's why they're frauds. I can't take it.
This is Tara Devlin from RepublicanDirtyTricks.com. That was a clip from my show, the It Sucks to Be Right Tara Buster, recorded live Saturday 6 p.m. Eastern at FYINation.com, replayed Sunday 7 p.m. Eastern on Progressive Voices, or anytime on demand on the Progressive Voices app. We stick together, we win.
All things Randy at RandyRhodes.com.
Go for launch.
Speaking truth to power, the Randi Rhodes Show.
Oh, and before I forget, this is another disgusting thing that is going to happen on Monday. Monday, Arkansas is going to start this conveyor belt of death. Okay, Monday, Arkansas is going to administer the death penalty with 7 executions in 11 days. Some twice a day. Some 2 times a day. And I got to tell you, just so you know I'm fair, back in January of 1992, I don't know how many people remember this, Bill Clinton was at the start of his presidential race. And of course, he won and he went all the way to the White House. And he needed to prove that he was tough on law and order. And so in the course of the campaign, Bill Clinton ran back to Arkansas so that he could, because he was governor of Arkansas before he was president, and he ran back to Arkansas to preside over the execution of a guy, and when I say his name, you'll probably remember, Ricky Ray Rector. Does anybody remember this? Okay. This man, Ricky Ray Rector, was convicted of a double murder, and one of his victims was actually a police officer. But what people forget about Ricky Ray Rector is that Ricky Ray Rector killed 2 people, one a police officer, and then took the gun and pointed it at his own head and pulled the trigger, blowing out part of his frontal lobe. Yes, the bullet went through his skull and blew a large hole in his frontal lobe, but he didn't die. They tried him, even though he was, obviously unable to understand what was going on because his frontal lobe had been blown out. And then Bill Clinton ran back to Arkansas to preside over his execution. Now, famously, Ricky Ray Rector, during his last meal, ordered pie. I believe it was pecan pie. Pecan pie. And he left it there and said he would eat it when he got back, as they were taking him to the gas chamber. He said, oh, no, I'll save that for later, because he didn't understand what was going on with him. Well, Asa Hutchinson, who's now the governor of Arkansas, and his brother Tim, who is a disgraceful human being, because let's just say we communicated in some weird way. And we said to Tim, how in the world is your brother doing this? Because Tim is a lobbyist and Asa is the governor of Arkansas. And so we said to Tim, how in the hell is your brother doing this? This is not Christian in any manner, nor is this, the decent thing to do. Obviously, the people who apply the death penalty, a lot of people who have been, the executioners in various states, they have committed suicide. It's really sad. Their psyche is never the same. The idea that they watch people die, or that they actually take people who don't know what's about to happen to them, or people who do, and that they kill them on purpose, government sanctioned killing, weighs on them so hard that they get post-traumatic stress disorder, and a lot of them commit suicide, and a lot of them are in therapy. Anyway, that said, this man on Monday, his name is Bruce Ward. Okay, he's a criminal. There's no question. I mean, he 25 years ago committed a crime. However, Bruce Ward has since childhood been mentally ill. He's a schizophrenic. And Mr. Ward, Bruce Ward, who's about to die on Monday by triple lethal injection, won't understand what's happening to him. Now, there are 2 laws, Ford versus Wainwright and Panetti versus Quarterman, states are, banning states from executing prisoners who are insane or incapable of understanding the reason they are about to be put to death. But Asa Hutchinson in Arkansas does not care. He does not care. This man, Bruce Ward, thinks he's going to survive the triple lethal injection. He thinks he's going to walk out of the prison on Monday. He thinks on Monday, this is what he thinks, that he is about to get fabulous wealth and public acclaim, and then he'll go on to found an evangelical ministry that will spread God's love through the power of his preaching. This is what Bruce Ward thinks. His mental health challenges started when he was a young boy. Teachers at his high school vividly remember him eating flies during class. When he was put on death row in Arkansas, they said he was a loner who lived in almost total isolation. One of his post-conviction lawyers, a guy named Joe Luby, testified in an affidavit that Ward, quote, lacked a rational understanding about his case and was unable to fully and reasonably assist counsel in litigating it. Mr. Luby said that Mr. Ward was always careful not to come across as insane, but once the attorney gained his client's trust, the inmate began to reveal his intimate thoughts, and he was convinced that he had been framed for the murder. It was a murder of a man named Mr. Doss, and a vast conspiracy had happened involving the Illuminati of Europe and an evil entity who he named Schuler, the Astor family in England, and Bill and Hillary Clinton. He said while he was in prison that he spent his days wrestling with Satan. Yeah, that Satan was after him, and so he wrestled all of Satan's demons that Satan kept sending into a cell. One point in his incarceration, he believed a dog had entered his body and lived inside him for many, many years. And at the same time, he was convinced that he was special, that God had chosen him, because he said he could trace his lineage back to the Rothschild family, and he bragged that his forebears had owned a castle that belonged to Victor Hugo, and that he had special powers. And one of those special powers was he was able to push cars single-handedly out of snowdrifts, and he could break up fights with ease. He had written a book on marriage, and he could drive on ice with summer tires. The psychiatrist who diagnosed his schizophrenia wrote that when it came to his pending execution, he perceived it as, quote, the product of a conspiracy to harass him, so he will accept a life sentence so demonic sources can continue to feed on his soul. He does not believe God will allow his execution to occur. In all the years that this man has displayed this kind of delusional behavior, the Department of Corrections has given him no treatment for any mental health condition. The Arkansas Department of Corrections found, quote, no reasonable grounds for thinking that Ward lacked understanding of the nature of his punishment or that he was unable to reach a rational understanding of the reason for his execution. And Asa Hutchinson's going to kill him. And then he's going to proceed to, start the conveyor belt. Roll him! It's going to be like Lucy in the Candy Factory. Why? Why do we do this? And one of the findings in Oklahoma after an execution had gone horribly wrong was that you should never schedule 2 executions in one day. Oh, well, Arkansas is doing it. These are disgusting human beings. You know what? Sleep well, Tim. Sleep well, my friend. And next time there's an ice sculpture with vodka coming out of the eagle's beak, make sure I'm not in the room to see what you do with it. Daryl in Los Angeles.
Hey, Randy. Happy Atomic Friday.
Oh, my God.
Crazy. I know. Crazy. Hey, I wanted to remind everyone, if you remember a few days after Trump was inaugurated, the Atomic Scientists Board had moved the doomsday clock to 2.5 minutes to midnight.
Right.
And so I'm wondering, okay, if that was only 2 days after Trump's inauguration, what are we at right now? Are we at a minute to midnight? Or are we at 45 seconds to midnight?
I haven't looked. Have you?
No, I looked on their website, but they don't do like an update or anything.
Oh.
So, but it's, they do have a big listing, an article of why they pushed it to.
Well, if we launch anything this weekend, nuclear, then and they hadn't moved the clock forward, then we'll never trust them again.
Exactly. And I think Russia wants this to happen. I think Russia is playing Trump and wants us to get embroiled, especially in Asia or somewhere where it's going to be really difficult. So that way they can, if we're busy with all that, the Middle East.
How does that help fighting ISIS?
I don't think they care. I think they want the Ukraine so bad. They just, and they want to, reclaim Estonia, Latvia, all those places.
Yeah, listen, Putin loves the idea of rebuilding the Soviet Union, the old Soviet Union. This is what he's all about with, conquering these countries that have pulled away from the Soviet Union and have started their own democracies. This is what he hates more than anything. And that is why we get so much cooperation from the people like in Latvia and Lithuania and Estonia, and Montenegro. That's why they cooperate. And a lot of this intelligence that was picked up about the Trump aides came from these Balkan nations because they're so terrified of Putin and they know that Putin picked Trump.
Yeah.
So
and I'm with you. I think Trump wants to do something. I think he's even put himself in a corner of having to respond to North Korea and wants to do something to deflect from all the information that's been coming out.
Absolutely.
And I've been telling that to people even way before articles started coming about him talking about bombing North Korea. I said that would be my worst case scenario with him. And then lo and behold, we're getting closer and closer and closer.
Well, the worst case scenario apparently is eating at Mar-a-Lago. Did you see that 13 health violations in January? I mean, he's feeding the Chinese president the most beautiful. He remembers what he ate when he bombed Syria, but he doesn't remember that, the country. He thought he bombed Iraq.
Oh, my God.
I wouldn't eat there. I mean, the fish, this is what they found. Fish prepared to be served raw or undercooked had not undergone proper parasite destruction. The inspectors ordered the fish either be fully cooked or discarded. Raw meat in 2 of the club's coolers were over the regulated 41 degrees. Ham was 57 degrees. Beef and duck were 50 degrees. And the chicken warmed to 49 degrees. One walk-in cooler was mistakenly set on defrost, and the inspectors told the kitchen staff to empty the broken coolers and not to use them again until they were fixed.
Wow. Well, that explains the whole Trump family, I guess.
Now the chocolate cake becomes death by chocolate, doesn't it?
Exactly.
I thought it was when he bombed Syria, but now I realize it's for the people that eat there.
Yes.
Oh my God. This man really has, his own house to keep clean. Honestly, why is he messing around in Syria and then in Afghanistan? And now this weekend we've got, nuclear submarines parked 300 miles off of North Korea. What the hell is he doing?
Because he's a totally unmoored human being. He has no grounding or anchor to anything.
That's true.
So unmoored.
It's true.
So
he has no empathy whatsoever. He is
none.
Yeah, completely a black soul. Another one.
Exactly.
Oh my God! Why do we keep electing these people? Dana in Hawaii.
Hi, Randi. Wonderful. Randy, my mom's here. She's 85.
Can you please take me off the speakerphone? This is a live show.
Okay. All right. Hold on. Sorry. Hello?
Oh, my God. Yes.
Is that better?
Oh, my God.
Sorry, can you hear me?
All right. Have a great Easter. Robert in the Virgin Islands.
Hi, Randy?
Mm-hmm.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, of course.
Okay, fine, because Howard seemed to be having some problems with me.
Were you on a speakerphone? Never be on a speakerphone when you're doing live anything.
I'm not on a speakerphone.
Oh, I don't have a problem.
Oh, okay. The last lady from Hawaii I'm sorry about her. I just got to say there's nobody else I'd rather be in a bomb shelter with on Atomic Friday. Your caller before the last. I perhaps want to change the topic here on something that I picked up on D.C. Report. And that was that Trump was threatening to cut subsidies to the ACA.
That's right.
On the exchange in an effort to force the Democrats to deal. And I see that as a wonderful opportunity. I think that the master of the deal deal here might be swayed into refunding those risk corridors that Senator Rubio eliminated, and we can get the ACA back up and healthy for a while, and perhaps expand Medicare by
What Congress are you referring to?
What numbers?
Congress. What Congress do you think we have?
Well, it's the art of the deal, Randy. We've got 40 members of Congress, or a little less. I think it's 36 that are Koch-bought. We can easily overcome that with Democratic votes in the House.
No.
How do you mean no?
I mean, they have the House. They have a Republican majority in the House. They have a Republican majority in the Senate, and they have a Republican president who has said that his goal is to repeal Obamacare. He wants.
I don't think it's Trump's goal. I think it might.
Then why does he say it over and over again?
Oh, he's a showman. I mean, so was the missile launch into Syria to hit a shithouse and pound sand. So was a major bomb dropped in Afghanistan to, blow up a desert in the middle of nowhere. And now with, look, really, you want to start something with Syria, you start something. You want to start something with Afghanistan, you start something. But it's nothing. It's all for show. And so is the carrier force off the North Korean peninsula. It's got nothing to do with nothing. It's all for show. It's all about ratings. And I see an opportunity here to get ratings up with the ACA. We can use this. And the trade-off would be discussions on immigration policy and immigration reform and tax reform.
They don't want immigration reform.
Of course they don't, but if they want something, there's got to be a trade-off. You got to give, you got to get. And I think that the master of the art of the deal here knows something maybe a little bit about dealing, and I think this whole scenario here is all about the deal.
But what Trump has said is that he would let ACA implode, and of course he's got Tom Price at Health and Human Services, who can, manipulate the rules, which is what you see happening here, and make it die. Now, that's not even legislation. That's something that they can do. So I don't get it.
Well, the simple fact is, if you want to get your ratings up, then do something nice, like maybe refund the corridors, or the risk corridors on the ACA, and then maybe we can deal on immigration and tax reform. It's a trade-off, Randy, is what I'm thinking.
I understand what you're saying.
I'm thinking that there's a bigger look at things than as opposed to
this president has not introduced one single piece of legislation. So I don't know what you think is going to happen, but I don't see anything happening. I don't see one single piece of legislation on any of the issues he promised. I don't see anything. I don't see a jobs bill. I don't see a tax bill. I don't see a health care bill. I don't see funding the wall. I don't see an infrastructure bill. I don't see one piece of legislation. So
I, of course, haven't seen them things either, but I've seen rats in the night in the alleyway. That's the way Republicans seem to work. However, I do think that there is a deal to be made here with the Democrats, and I think that Trump is open to listening to Democrats.
I would love to say that that's true, but so far he has said that he wants the Democrats to come crawling to him after Obamacare implodes on its own. But he is pushing it over a cliff and helping it die, is what he's currently doing, and he's doing it without legislation. He's doing it by finalizing new rules inside the Health and Human Services. Tom Price, is in charge of rules and regulations, and a lot of Obamacare couldn't get passed, and so a lot of it depends on regs. What can I tell you? I'd love to think healthcare got straightened out.
Clear for takeoff. The Randi Rhodes Air Force. Air Force. RandiRhodes.com.
Well, the Trump administration suffered a humiliating defeat on health care. So next up, the Trump economic plan. Are you familiar with a game called Three-Card Monte? All you got to do is find Trump's amazing economic plan under the cup, and you win. Where is it? Is it over here? No. Is it over there? No. It must be over here. No. Unfortunately, like so many things, Trump, it's just another big con job. So when it comes to your own financial future, don't play the game. Protect your wealth. Use a timeless, tried and true investment like gold. Call my friends at ITM Trading at 1-888-OWN-GOLD and get a free gold kit and learn how to diversify your investment portfolio with precious metals. Call ITM Trading today at 1-888-OWN-GOLD for guidance from their precious metals experts. They have an A+ rating from the Better Business Bureau, and they've helped tens of thousands of people buy gold and silver coins and bars. Let them help you too. Call 1-888-OWN-GOLD, 1-888-OWN-GOLD.
Here's a sample of what you'll hear on the Leslie Marshall Show weekdays, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern on the Progressive Voices Network. Scott and Paul, president of the Alliance for American Manufacturing, the AAM, talk to us about what actually happened during this meeting between China's president and our president. And are American workers going to see any action against China's trade cheating as a result of this meeting?
Coming into the summit, Trump, through his campaign rhetoric, I'm going to name China a currency manipulator on day one of the administration. Do you remember that? I certainly remember that. Yep. And then, just talking about the bad trade agreement that we had with China and how we were going to rebalance things. And, he even had he criticized Obama for having met with Xi and said if he met with him, he'd have a Big Mac. None of that happened. Instead, what we saw was an agreement to talk, it looks like. And the Commerce Secretary Wilbur Ross had said that, the difference this time, the difference between what they're about to embark on over the next 100 days versus what's happened in past administrations like the Obama administration or the Bush administration is that there will be measurable progress, that they'll have what they call way stations along the way, and that it will produce some change, and that the goal is to have more exports going into China and to bring the trade deficit with China down. The message I got from that is we're going to take the next 100 days to put into place potentially some actions that are going to produce meaningful outcomes for workers and businesses, but it has us all waiting till July. Again, for a president who talked about trade every day of the campaign, I think a lot of people will think that he's falling short of the commitments that he made. I imagine, look, I could be wrong about this, I imagine the folks who supported Trump will say, let's give him the benefit of the doubt. This problem didn't happen overnight. Let's see how much progress we can make. But I think it's also fair to level some criticism, and I know that Chuck Schumer, the Democratic leader of the Senate, did that just today, where he said that Trump has been falling short of his promises on China, and that he's got to get a lot tougher. And, Leslie, that this is an area where Senate Democrats were really prepared to engage with Trump on and having a different type of trade relationship so that we can create more jobs here, have better outcomes for our workers. But that so far he was not particularly impressed with what the president had been able to accomplish.
Hear the whole story on the Leslie Marshall Show, Monday to Friday, 6 to 7 p.m. Eastern, 3 to 4 p.m. Pacific on the Progressive Voices Network.
Call in, connect. To speak to Randi, call 561-270-3844.
561-270-3844. President Trump launched that missile attack last week. He tells the AFP that the chemical attack that prompted it was, quote, a 100% fabrication. Let's take a listen right now.
It's not clear whether it happened or not. Because how can you verify a video? You have a lot of fake videos now. And you have the proof that those videos were fake, like the white helmets, for example. They are Al-Qaeda, they are Nusra Front, who shaved their beard, wore white hats, and appeared as humanitarian heroes, which is not the case.
This man also has a lisp. This is Bashar al-Assad sitting down for an interview, sounding exactly like Alex Jones. Coincidence? I think not. It's all fake. None of those kids were really killed, and the white helmets are Al-Qaeda and Al-Nusra. It's the Russian playbook. This is what the Russians do. The Russians put out disinformation. They're extremely good at it. We have troll farms. They're farms, everybody, which is a good explanation for why Trump did so great in rural America. They relate to the farm, no matter what you grow, even if it's trolls. Todd in South Carolina. Hey. Thank you. Lynn in Pasadena.
Hey, Randy.
Hi.
It is so good to talk to you after all these years.
Hi.
First time?
Oh.
Long time?
No. Wow.
Yeah.
Hi.
Yeah. Not only hi, and not only that. Okay, here's my question. I get off the phone. So, if the Gang of Eight was told about this way back when,
right?
Why the hell didn't they say anything?
Because it's classified and they can't.
So they really,
yeah.
So they're sitting there knowing this is going on, and they're letting us go through this.
Except for Maxine Waters.
She was fabulous.
Yeah, she's amazing. But yeah, they can't say anything because it's classified. And if they did, then they would be in violation of the law. So listen, that's part of it. This is, they were briefed in August, September, according to Brennan, with this classified information that foreign governments were catching Trump aides on the phone with, known Russian spies over and over again. And finally, Brennan went and briefed the Gang of Eight. But it was September, October. It was like August, September. The election was almost done. And they couldn't say anything at all. They couldn't. So,
well, we're going to pay a huge price for
we
that.
already have. The world is paying a huge price. I mean, our allies, God love them, our allies who fight with us in Afghanistan, who fight with us in Syria, who fight with us in Iraq, who have fought with us everywhere we've ever gone after September 11th and before, okay? They think this man is not... he thinks he's inscrutable. He thinks, he's unpredictable. They think he's incoherent, and they are terrified at the stuff he is raining down upon this planet. They cannot believe that he is destabilizing all these different parts of the world with these crazy bombs that are doing nothing, really nothing, serving absolutely no purpose. There is no way to even explain to you. I wish I had a way to explain to you what that Moab was about yesterday, but I can't.
It was about the size of his
I can't explain to you what benefit we got from it. I can tell you that August 7th through 9th, we did traditional, 2,000-pound bombs. We killed 58 people. I can tell you that they say that we killed 36 people yesterday, but the people who are around that town said this is just going to help them. I mean, this is going to help recruitment. There was no reason to do this. There were hardly any people here left. They were just disbanding. They had lost their caliphate. They had lost it a long time ago. We don't understand why they had to make such a show of this. It was crazy, and the recruitment's going to go through an to an all-time high. It's going to have the opposite effect. And Syria, we bombed an airport but didn't take out the runways. And Trump said, "Oh well, they can asphalt over the." I mean, really, this man is just. Where is he getting his military info from? His military themed prep school?
No, he's getting it from Alex Jones.
Yeah, he's getting it from Russia. He is. He's a Russian puppet, and he's doing exactly what the Russians want him to do in order to take the focus off of all of these major newspaper articles that have come out about his collusion with the Russian government. It's just like Housewives of Beverly Hills. It gets a little dull, or you start to wonder why you watch it, and then and the person who's the star is getting boring, and so you create a drama. And you make a fake drama, and that is the drama that he created by bombing Syria between us and Russia. Now it looks like they're enemies, even though they were best friends. Everybody buys it, including the mainstream media, and they put it out there. Oh, there's no. And Eric Trump says, "Oh, see, my father isn't in league with Russia. You could tell because he bombed Syria." And then all of a sudden we have this problem, right? And so then Putin and Trump will meet, and they will say, for the good of the world, we have made an agreement, and what we're going to do is this. We're going to take the sanctions off of Russia, and we're going to watch them. We're going to watch them. And if they don't invade their neighbors, then we'll do the right thing. And in exchange, Russia's going to stop backing Assad. This is what diplomacy is. And I made the deal because I'm the art of the deal guy. But remember that the relationship is friendship, and they needed to create an environment that looked like they were on opposite sides. So the problem he'll be solving isn't a problem. It's just a drama that they created.
Right.
So,
and it's all it's all phony.
It's all phony.
Well, have a wonderful, wonderful weekend. Thank
Happy
you so
Easter.
much for all you do.
Thank you, Lynn. Nice
Take
talking to you finally. Charlie in Lake Elsinore.
Hi.
Hey.
How are you?
Oh, you're a girl. Hi.
Yes, I am.
Hi.
I just wanted to say, I love your show. I was actually turned on to your show on Twitter. Go figure.
Wow. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Somebody hooked me up. And on the exact same day that I was turned on to you, I was trolled. I've been trolled, I can't even tell you how many times, but the most memorable was a guy came on and he came into my direct message and asked me if I'd be surprised to find out that the Clintons were involved in a child sex ring.
Oh, Pizzagate.
Yeah, so I trolled him back.
Yeah, my trolls, the people that troll me, the first troll I ever got told me I was going to end up in an oven. So it was kind of obvious. And then some of them forget to switch their keyboards, and they actually end up writing in Cyrillic.
Oh, maybe he knew you'd be visiting Lake Elsinore, where it is an oven during the summertime.
Yeah, so it's Florida. It's like being in a big, wet blow dryer. But, yeah, I mean, these people are literally sitting either in St. Petersburg of Russia and forgetting to change keyboards and making the big mistake. Or their translations are so bad, some of them, It's hysterical. Or you can go look, like if you get trolled, especially on Facebook, go to their Facebook page. If you see nothing but motorcycles, or if you see nothing but cats or nothing but they're fake people. They're not real people.
Exactly.
So,
well, I asked him if he would be surprised to find out that I'm Hillary Clinton's aunt, and I've known her my whole life, so I know better. Needless to say, he disconnected from me and wanted nothing more to do with me.
I like that. That's a really good one. I'm going to use that.
I say troll him back, man. Troll him back.
Oh, I troll them hard. I really do. I love it. I actually love it. Yeah.
But I do have one question on a, sort of the same topic, but off the topic. Who do we end up with? Let's say, Trump's found guilty, when he will be, of collusion. Who do we end up with president? I mean, how far down that list do we have to go?
I don't know.
Until we find someone with clean hands.
Yeah, I don't know.
know.
I'm really not clear because, it seems to go as far as Ryan now, the Speaker of the House. He's in the line.
Even further, I mean, look, Betsy DeVos is number 15 in the list, so.
I know. I don't know. I could tell you that the whole Devin Nunes lie Paul Ryan was aware of because Nunes had told Paul Ryan before he went to the press, right? And so Paul Ryan, actually said Nunes is a good guy. He needed to do, and Ryan knows. So Ryan's out too. I mean,
exactly. You can't even look at Pence because the fact is he flat out knew about Flynn.
Right.
There's no joke about that.
No.
Go next down the line. Now we're looking at Ryan.
Right.
Well, let's go on down the line. There's no one there. I mean, like I said, 15 down the road is DeVos, and we're screwed there too.
I know.
Handful of vouchers and no education. Good luck. It would be a stupid country.
Hey, man, this is really uncharted water. I don't think anybody knows, what's going to come. I really don't. So, we just got to sit up and pay attention. And, one of the things we truly, truly need to see is his tax returns.
Absolutely.
It would answer a whole host of questions about who he owes money to and, what's going on with it. That's what these marches are this weekend. There are show us your tax marches all over this country.
Oh, yeah.
And
I've gone to a couple of them.
Yeah, and there's big ones all over the weekend. So, just Google tax march and you'll find something, near you. And get out there and be among friendlies and enjoy the weekend.
Hey, I'm there. Thank you so much for talking to me.
Thanks, Charlie.
And, have a happy Easter.
Happy Easter to you, and retweet me as much as you can.
Oh, I do.
Thank
daily.
you. Thank you.
All right.
Bye. Fred in Phoenix.
Hey, how you doing, Randy?
Hi.
First time, long time.
Oh, no. Hi.
A little bit off topic, on topic, but my whole thing is as I listen and I follow Rachel Maddow, Chris Hayes, listen to all this mess, I just have to point the finger back at our electoral college. That because it's so partisan, they didn't do their job. And their job was to say, this man is not qualified
That's
to be in the seat, even though he got the vote.
Yes, that's what they're for.
They all of them need to be held accountable for not doing their constitutional job that they were, chosen to do. Because if they did their job, he would not be sitting in that seat.
Yeah, I got to agree with you. I'm not sure if scrapping the Electoral College, would have saved us from him. But I am sure that the Electoral College was put in place to save us from a guy like him, and it didn't work. So I don't know, where we're at. I don't know whether we need it, we don't need it. The rules have to be, different. I have no, but getting rid of it would take a constitutional, amendment. We would have to, change the Constitution. So we're stuck with it. But if you want to, point a finger at them and say that they failed to do their constitutional duty, which, they were put in place so that somebody who was unfit to be president could never take the office, then I would agree with you.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's just that this climate is Republican ideology is all that they think about. If they're Republicans, they have no concern for the people other than the corporate people. And it's just sad. It's a sad situation that we're in, that we're dealing with right now. Hopefully we can find our way clean and out, and we don't all glow in the dark at the end of the week.
I know. Yeah, thanks, Fred. Thank you for calling.
Thank you. Have a good weekend.
You too. All right. Have a very, very happy Easter, everybody. Let's just get to Easter. Let's get through. It's Saturday in North Korea right now. Okay, it is. It's Saturday in North Korea. It's early in the morning. It's what, like 6? It's probably 7 or 8 o'clock in the morning there. Stay drunk until Sunday. I guess is the best thing I could say. And then go out and march. There are all these, turn your taxes over marches all over the country. There are town halls next week. Did you see Jeff Flake's town hall? That was a beauty. I tweeted that. That's on my, you can follow me at Randi Rhodes, at Randi Rhodes. That's my Twitter handle. So follow me at Twitter. I'm sure you'll see a lot of drunk tweeting from us. All the way through Saturday in North Korea. Happy Easter. Go to RandiRhodes.com for the whole thing and a podcast. Buy a stinking podcast.